Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us right here on The Right View, Ladies Tea. Tonight, we are joined by Editor-in-Chief of Human Events and the Post-Millennial, Libby Emmons, as well as Turning Point contributor, Erin Elmore. Couple of my faves, Libby and Erin. Welcome, ladies. You know, it's funny because sometimes IDs matter if you're a Democrat. Sometimes they don't. Turns out they feel like apparently it matters to give IDs now for some reason to illegal immigrants. Don't need them to vote, but these people need them. They're going to give ID cards to illegals now, quote, to keep track of the tens of thousands being released into the United States each month. These are called the ICE Secure Docket cards. These are coming out soon. Each card has a photo, biographic identifiers, and cutting-edge security features to the mutual benefit of the government and, as they put it, Libby, the non-citizen. This card could also be accepted by the TSA if you want to go on a flight. Why all of a sudden do we feel like we need IDs with photos for people who've come into this country illegally? I'm trying to figure this one out.
Yeah, so this has been coming down the pike for quite a while, actually, and we've seen it in a lot of Democrat-led cities as well. The issuing of identification cards to illegal immigrants. In New York City, this was done. These cards are allowing you to access government services. The city council tried to push through a thing where illegal immigrants could vote in local elections. That was very important to them. It was struck down. Some states are allowing illegal immigrants to access driver's licenses. And this is all part of a much larger push to make these people into citizens without them having to go through any of the official channels to do that. We know that the Biden administration wants these people to vote. They want them to vote Democrat. And so they want to push through a thing that legitimizes their residency here in the U.S. We see that too with the rebranding of illegal immigrants as asylum seekers, meaning that once they apply for asylum, they then have 180 days that they only have to wait 180 days before applying for work authorization as well. And so you can imagine that the ICE ID cards will be used by illegal immigrants to make sure that they can be, tracked and authorized to work.
Yeah, it just seems, Erin, like, I don't know, another incentive to invite people illegally to come into this country. It is a huge problem. I mean, we've been talking about this for years. What a problem it is. Donald Trump, of course, talked about it in the first speech he ever gave when he announced he was running for president in 2015. He caught a lot of heat for that. Turns out he was right. We had border crossing lows under the Trump administration. Now under the Biden-Harris administration, where we have the border czar, what a joke, Kamala Harris, we have all-time highs of border crossings. And now people like New York Governor Kathy Hochul, these people are finally coming around to, oh, maybe this was a bad idea. Talk about a 180-degree reversal. 2021, Kathy Hochul reciting the words inscribed on the Statue of Liberty. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses. You are welcome with open arms. We'll not only house you, we'll protect you, she said. Flash forward a year and a half. She says, we have to get the word out. We're at capacity. If you leave your country, go somewhere else. Wow, why the change in Governor Kathy Hochul? Why wouldn't she want the poor huddled masses now, Erin? I would like to know what changed her mind.
Well, her and Mayor Adams in New York City as well were virtue signaling. They said we are a sanctuary city and a sanctuary state, but they didn't mean that, because now that the border crisis is touching New York, and specifically New York City, you see these migrants who have not been vetted, who have not been vaccinated, and that's the policy in New York City, vaccination or no school, no services. They are in our schools, the children. The adults were in our gymnasiums. They are in our parks. These people are everywhere with no criminal background check, no health check, no place to go, no jobs during the day. So they are creating trash and creating chaos and creating violence. And it's a real problem. And New Yorkers who generally vote Democrat have had about enough. So I think it's less about them being virtue signalers all the time. It's they're like, wait a second, what's going to happen come re-election? What are these people going to do? Because their cities are being destroyed and no one has answers. When Adams gave a speech recently, he said, New York City is going to be destroyed. It's going to come to every neighborhood. And then he blamed, our Greg Abbott in Texas. I want to know, okay, so how was this Greg Abbott's fault? Did he open the border?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I want to understand the chain of custody, as we say in the law, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing this is what gets me about this. Why haven't I heard Kathy Hochul? Why haven't I heard Eric Adams say, hey, Joe Biden and border czar Kamala Harris, close down the border, enforce the laws on the books right now as they are written? It's amazing to see there's like this song and dance going on. But Erin, I think you're right. I think it's because these people are petrified as to what's going to come around for them in a re-election year coming up in 2024 for a lot of these folks. What will the people of their city think? What will the people of their state think? What will the people of this country think about the fact that although we have talked about it until we're blue in the face, so many Republicans, they just ignored and just flagrantly violated our laws and let these people come in, not just from South America, not just from Central America and Mexico, from all over the world. If you look at the people outside of the Roosevelt Hotel right now in New York City, they are people from all around the world. I read an article about this. They talked about how they have a Spanish-speaking border guard or some, National Guard troop there to talk to people when they come in, but they also need Russian speakers. Yep. They need people who speak languages from all around the world because that's where these people are originating. It is insane. And also, you talk about Eric Adams. He said that this issue is going to cost the city of New York, and I'll say the taxpayers of New York, $12 billion with a B dollars over the next 3 years. He also, this is the one that really gets me, Libby, told the NYPD and the FDNY that they were going to need to cut their spending by somewhere in the neighborhood of 15% to pay for the illegal immigration crisis in New York. So let me get this straight. You have people flooding into the city with nowhere to go, with no jobs, with no way to support themselves. You have crime on the rise in New York, and yet you are telling the New York Police Department to cut 15% of their spending. I can't imagine that is an advisable solution.
It's not an advisable solution. And you have to remember that this comes on the heels of the New York City Police Department just paying out millions of dollars to BLM rioters who didn't like that they were arrested after setting cop cars on fire. So what is New York City doing? Why are they destroying themselves? Why are they destroying this wonderful city? And they're doing it on purpose. Eric Adams is essentially punishing New Yorkers for the failures of the leader of his political party, who can't manage to keep the borders closed. We also saw Governor Greg Abbott, who is, of course, getting all this blame for the Biden administration leaving his borders wide open. He's sending National Guard troops down, trying to get this thing under control, putting up razor wire to stop people. And the administration goes in and clears the razor wire as though, that's their job, is to keep the border open. We've seen, there was a video posted this morning that I saw where you could actually see a National Guardsman putting a ladder down to help people climb over the wall into the country. I don't understand why this is what we think the best thing to do is. And what also we see is that Joe Biden, Eric Adams, Gavin Newsom, take your pick of these ridiculous leaders, are going out there making all this noise about how, we have to be compassionate and all of this kind of thing. None of this is compassionate at all. It's not compassionate to the people who are coming here from around the world, and certainly not compassionate to the Americans that are already here. And another thing that I find really troubling, and you mentioned the Roosevelt Hotel, and we see this outside the Roosevelt Hotel, there have been so many young men coming to this country without families, without children, just on their own. Why do we need a huge population of young men from around the world with, no prospects to come here and suck off our dole? What is that about? They're going to be committing crimes. You already see in New York the increasing of the, selling of the fake luxury goods on streets and all of this kind of stuff going on. It's obviously so untenable. And all of this is being done while the American people across the board, Democrats and Republicans, are screaming out to make it stop. So where are our congressmen? Where are our representatives? Where is the people's house to go out there and say, actually, I'm hearing from my constituents that they don't really want an open border. They think the nation should be secure. Why is nobody listening to us? Why is no one listening to the people of this country?
Well, it's a great question. If they're in the United States Capitol, they might be distracted by all of the baggy gym wear that now is being worn thanks to one John Fetterman from Pennsylvania. Just an insult to the country as well. So they just keep racking them up. You know what, though? It's interesting, though, because, Erin, I feel like people are, to Libby's point, getting frustrated. And someone who had it up to here with all of this nonsense was the mayor of Dallas. And I absolutely love this. Eric Johnson, he won re-election with 98.7% of the vote. And he said, I got to change my party to the Republican Party because we cannot have people who are coddling criminals. We cannot have people who are hurting this country. He wrote that the future of America's great urban centers depends on the willingness of the nation's mayors to champion law and order and practice fiscal conservatism, something that has been the defining characteristic of the GOP, as opposed to the inconsistent poll-driven commitment of many Democrats. I think kudos to Eric Johnson for waking up and smelling what a lot of us have known for a long time. And I think many will follow suit. But this is the first mayor of a major metropolitan area to make the switch from Democrat to Republican. And I got to tell you, I love to see it.
I like it. But as they say on the Real Housewives of Potomac, I think he's a little bit of a sneaky link because he just got reelected as a Democrat. So he used his platform as a Democrat to get on in, right? And then as soon as he's got that reelection, he becomes a Republican. And I think he's seeking now, because he knows Texas on a larger level is more Republican. You know, the big cities like Dallas, Austin, Houston have that bigger Democrat component. So now that he's in again as the mayor, I think he has bigger political aspirations in Texas as a Republican. Hopefully he does hold these Republican values. It sounds like everything he's saying was certainly sincere, and his upbringing and how he values the police, and he took a lot of heat for not defunding the police and taking the knee and during the George Floyd stuff. But I do believe he has larger political aspirations. We're going to have to sit and watch this one. A little bit sneaky, but I like anyone with an R next to their name.
Yeah. What did you think of that, Libby?
I thought it was actually pretty cool. I hadn't thought about it in the terms that Erin did, though. I think that's interesting.
We got to we got to have our guard up, though, at all times. Unfortunately, Erin's right. Like, we can't take it all just at face value, because if you took Joe Biden at face value as they were selling him in the media, you thought you were getting this nice old man who was going to bring dignity back to the people's house. Yeah, right. Go ahead, Libby. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm saying he's a dotty mess. You know, he has no idea what he's doing. But yeah, I mean, I did think that it was interesting that the policies he elucidated, which previously were essentially common sense policies of how you run a city, and are now conservative policies. Mm-hmm. And I appreciated that he said he was not going to change how he was running the city, and that his values were just more aligned with the Republican base. We do see, though, a lot, like in blue run states, you have Republicans who run as Democrats just so that they can get into office, or the reverse, as we see in red states like Wyoming or someplace like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's keep our eye out. Let's not let our guard down too soon. But I certainly like the move. And isn't it interesting? You never see the move the other way. You never see when has a Republican come out and been like, you know what? These values are it's too good for me. I need to get over with the Democrats. I need to go over with the group that's destroying the country, with the ones that are trying to, just do the worst possible thing for our kids in school with their bodies, corrupt their minds. Mm-hmm. I don't see anybody making that jump.
I heard that Cory Booker in New Jersey is actually a pretty conservative guy, raised with relatively conservative values. He wasn't raised poor as he purports in a lot of these media hits and things of that nature. But I've heard that he's basically just aligned with the Democrats because that's what you had to do in Newark to get ahead. And now he's basically on the take and has dug the hole too deep. You can't climb out.
Yeah, well, good. Sorry for him. You should have been honest from the beginning, but I digress. Someone who is maybe getting to be a bit of more of a commonplace name. I've listened to some of these songs myself. Maren Morris, country singer, or maybe a former country singer. Now, she says she's got to leave country music, Libby, because the Donald Trump years, after the Trump years, people's biases were on full display. It revealed who people really were and that they were proud to be misogynistic, racist, homophobic, and transphobic. I don't know what she's talking about with all of the phobics and misogyn, all that stuff. We know they love to say that. Donald Trump is making her leave country music? Really? I'm fascinated by this.
Well, I always find it interesting when people say that Donald Trump is homophobic when he had the first openly gay cabinet member in Rick Grinnell. It's so confusing to hear that. And you're like, really? Because I'm just not seeing it, y'all. That's very bizarre. Yeah, I mean, if this woman doesn't want to make art anymore because she thinks that other people are ucky, then perhaps she wasn't a very good artist to begin with, and good riddance. There's no need for that.
Yeah, we don't have any time for that. The good news is she's opening up some space in the country music scene, Erin. You may or may not have heard, I may be dipping my toe into that scene myself coming up at the end of this week. I'll keep everyone on kind of pins and needles, but I did record a version of Tom Petty's I Won't Back Down, which will be available coming out midnight on Thursday night into Friday morning.
That's so exciting.
This week. Well, thank you very much. And I'm ready to receive all the country fans that Maren Morris apparently doesn't want anymore. Erin, I think that, I'm happy with anyone. If anyone wants to listen to my music, I'm happy to have them. I think it's kind of sad that somebody is so upset over Donald Trump that they're just going to leave the whole country music scene, but maybe she's not strong enough.
Why? Okay, it's kind of like when you lose a game like loser's limp and you come up with a whole new reason. Donald Trump hasn't been in office in over 2 years now, almost 3. So didn't she have time to do this during the Trump years? I think it's a little bit of the fact that she's getting backlash and country music the pendulum is swinging back seemingly towards more conservatives and conservative values. And she doesn't really have a home there anymore, right? She's had fights with, I think she had a fight with Brittany Aldean.
Brittany Aldean, yeah.
And she has been taking a lot of heat, and she isn't as popular as she once was, and she doesn't really fit in with the country narrative. She can go over to pop and hang out with all the libs, but I think she doesn't have a home there. And what does Donald Trump have to do with this? He's been gone for a long time, lady. Sounds like baloney to me, Maren Morris.
Yeah, no, it's total baloney. I agree with you. I love how when in doubt, like the knee jerk is blame Donald Trump. Like when anything goes wrong, it was obviously Donald Trump's fault. People are still trying to do that. And you're right, Erin. It's been 2.5 years since he was in office. If you've got problems right now, you might need to look in the mirror, or maybe you look at the individual at the White House right now, although he probably doesn't know he's there, Joe Biden, because he's the one who is sitting there making a lot of bad decisions that is really just ruining this country.
He couldn't pronounce LL Cool J's name the other day. Did you see that clip? God, he's like, LLJ Cool J, man. Come on, boy.
I mean, this is where we are. This is where we are here in America. It's really amazing to see. I want to go quickly to the Veterans Administration. Libby, I saw that you guys over at the Post Millennial, I believe, first obtained a video that showed that the VA is kind of suggesting that their workers should be pro-abortion, that they're telling the people who work for them not to get ahead of themselves when you're talking to someone, because it could be a man who's pregnant, these sort of crazy things. They say before discussing counseling procedures, this training video began with a note on language that clarified, quote, not all people who seek abortions identify as women. Another note read, person who is pregnant is inclusive and preferred to pregnant woman. Remember, can't say woman, can't say any of that, can't say mom, mother, none of that. According to this report, another slide tells staffers to use certain language about abortion like embryo or fetus instead of baby or unborn child, veteran or person instead of mother, and embryonic or fetal cardiac activity instead of fetal heartbeat. This is what they're focusing on over at the VA. We know that they've had a lot of woke crap going on within the military for a long time since Joe Biden took office. This was why? What is the necessity to do this, Libby?
Yeah, the necessity to do this is to completely obliterate the concept of women and mothers, to destroy families, I believe. And also a big part of the push in these videos was to encourage veterans to get abortions, encourage women to get abortions. It talks about how childbirth is far more dangerous than an abortion. It talks about how there's no mental health impact of abortion, and instead women who have pregnant persons who have abortions,
get it right, get the terminology right.
But they feel nothing but relief, according to the Veterans Administration. And I think this is absolutely a disservice being done to our female veterans of the U.S. Armed Forces. It's absolutely insane that this is what's going on, that this is what they're spending money on, telling women that they're not women, that they are some, isolated part of their body, and that's all that matters about them. Telling women who would be mothers that it's too dangerous to be a mother, that having a child is not as safe as killing that child. This is designed in part, I think, to destroy the mental health of veterans. And already we know that veterans have a difficult time with mental health once they leave the forces. So I don't know why the VA thinks this is appropriate. This is a tip that we got, and we really dug into it, and we found an awful lot of disturbing things going on at the VA with regard to women's health.
Oh, it's just so frustrating, Erin, because, I remember the VA was such a big deal for my father-in-law when he was in office. He was so irritated by the fact that, during the Obama-Biden administration, we were giving $150 billion to countries that hated us while our veterans died waiting in line for appointments at the VA. And he said, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to make things better over there. I'm going to make sure we actually take care of our men and women who have served this country, who've given their limbs for this country, who really came back a different person. Like Libby said, we already know that these are people who are suffering in so many different ways from, mental health issues. The fact that they even went out of their way to focus on this stuff, this is where they think the best use of their time and money is to get involved in this craziness, really?
That's what I was going to talk about, was the allocation of resources and triaging patients and their needs.
Yeah.
There are people in serious peril every single day that go to the VA. Mental health, PTSD are massive issues for combat veterans, whether you're a woman or a man who has served this country. And these doctors, nurses, and hospital staff need to dedicate their every second to helping the patients in the most need. Instead, they're wasting their time on language to erase women and to end a human life. And I don't think this is what should be going on when we're talking about the men and women who have so bravely served our country. They deserve better than this. They deserve to know the truth. It is a fetal heartbeat. And yes, childbirth may be dangerous, but you just are saying, oh, get an abortion. First of all, I just think it's so wrong that every option isn't being presented to these people. And often when you serve, you're extremely young. Your next step is going home and potentially starting a family. So they're going to deter you after you've given your heart and soul and potentially limbs and more to this country. They're going to deter you from having a family and not give you the care that you need. It's so callous and so un-American and so wrong.
Yeah, I mean, this is just one of the many things that I think, people are going to go vote in November of 2024 about. This kind of stuff. They're like, really? This is what we're going to the fact that within our military, our number one focus is not military readiness. It is not getting our people in the best possible position with the best possible resources and tools at their fingertips to protect this country so that no one even dares try it. is a disgrace. It is insane to me. And I think a lot of people are just sick of this nonsense totally. Before we go today, I got to talk about this. Erin, you and I had an offline about this one. There's a lot of crazy stuff that goes on airplanes. Everybody likes to whip out their camera, start filming crazy people on airplanes. I mean, I sort of am into it in so many respects. The latest one is this woman, this Instagram famous model. She calls herself Morgan Osman is her name. And she was on this plane. She was not kicked off the plane. She was not asked to leave the plane. There was some altercation of some variety with who she identifies as a woman with neon blue hair, I guess, who claimed this, the Instagram famous model sitting in her seat. And so she got up and there was this back and forth and there was a bit of a scene that ensued. And she stands up and she's wearing on an airplane, mind you, a full like onesie unitard situation. Here's my thing. Libby, I said to Erin a couple of days ago about this, I said, I think this was a stunt because no one is getting on an airplane wearing a onesie. How are you going to the bathroom in that thing? I kind of feel like this was a setup and that she knew she was going to get some sort of attention for this, and man, did she. What did you think, Libby?
Yeah, isn't this the woman who also got like some sort of offer for a porn deal?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know if she's taken that one or not.
I don't know, but already that seems a little suspicious to me. I'm tired of all this airplane hijinks. Like, you're up in the air. You don't want to crash. Can we just all chill out? Just sit in your chair. Be quiet. Don't wear onesies. Don't wear super
unless you're a baby.
Just like, dress appropriately, dress better than John Fetterman if you can.
Please.
On the plane. I hated this whole thing. I'm so tired of these Instagram model people claiming that they need all of this attention and special treatment. Come on.
Okay, go ahead, Erin. Go ahead, give it to us.
Well, I feel bad for any pilots or flight attendants because I know they're working so hard and understaffed. But having watched it, she saunters off in her 3624 song. What is that song? Baby's Got Back.
3624 36.
Only if she's 5'3". So anyway, she saunters off in this light gray, skin tight bodysuit, full hair, full makeup, glam. And like, she basically says, you can film me, you bum. And being from Philly, having a place where they boo Santa Claus and call everyone a bum, I like the bum part, but I don't think she needs any more attention because then I went down the rabbit hole of like following her and seeing what she's all about. And let me tell you, this girl loves the attention. And she's had a real glow up if you dig into her past. She didn't always look. She got a lot of extra glow. There maybe it's a little too much glow, but she did have a glow up. Faux show. No doubt about that. She was on, what was it, the Bad Girls Club? Bad Girls Club, and she was like, I think her like nickname was the super B word. Like Mega B or whatever, because she was really.
So again, you're going to prove what I already suspected, which is that this was a stunt. Because why would you get off a plane? Excuse me. It is bad enough to be in an airport. I'm one of those people who I want to spend as little time in an airport as humanly possible. Yeah. If I'm the last person on the plane and they are calling my name over the speaker, I have been successful in my time in the airport because I need the bare minimum. I don't want to be there any longer. She says in some post analysis of this situation that she'd already been like, I'm not kicked off a flight, but she missed her previous flight, or she was something happened. So now you're actively just going to say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to get off this flight too. I don't think so. No, sweetie, you were there for the attention as far as I'm concerned. And I think you're right. She has had enough of that. And I hated to even bring it up, but there's always something, and people just want to get where they're going. Like flying in airports are bad enough. We don't need more of that. So anywho, we will end with that today. I mean, I know it's really, this is top-notch stuff here, but we had to get to it. Neon blue hair, I'm always involved if that's happening. So I want to say thank you to Libby. Thank you to Erin for being here. And thank you to everybody at home, as always, for joining us. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, and follow. And we'll see you back here next time for more of The Right View. So I'm like a lot of people. I love to wear an Apple Watch, but I hate how it looks. And I scoured the internet to search for the best looking Apple Watch cases I could find, and I found it. goldandcherry.com. They have absolutely beautiful watches, as you can see here. Everything is waterproof. Everything looks good with different outfits. You can get sporty, you can get fancy, but they are great quality, made out of Delaware in the United States of America. And they have been kind enough to give me a promo code that I can share with you if you want to get your hands on one of these as well. It's Lara T, L-A-R-A-T is the promo code to get yourself a discount at goldandcherry.com. And not only do they make Apple Watch cases, they also make great products for iPads and iPhones, keyboards, your desktop, everything you could possibly need. Goldandcherry.com. Use promo code LARAT so you can get yourself one of these today too. At The Right View, we're very proud of the fact that we are independent. We get to say everything that we think and everything that we feel. We have no woke companies guiding us or telling us what we can and cannot say. We are always going to shoot you straight and give you the facts as we know them. And that's why it's important to support independent outlets like The Right View. My name is Lara Trump, and I think Mike Lindell is a patriot. He is someone who loves this country, is willing to fight for this country. I love MyPillow because not only are MyPillows made in the USA by American workers, but they're great products, and they're so great that not only do I use them in my own bed at night, my children actually requested. My daughter the other day went to the closet and pulled out a MyPillow and said, "This is the pillow that I want to sleep with." And I gotta tell you, she loves it and will have nothing to do with any other pillow. So it's a big hit around our house. My dogs also happen to sleep on MyPillow dog beds. So all around the Trump household, we're big fans. If you go to mypillow.com today and use promo code Trump, again, promo code Trump, you will not only save money, but you will help us continue this show and other shows like it and help us continue the fight for the future of America. Inflation has impacted all of our lives. I don't think anyone can go to the gas pump or the grocery store without noticing that it is a major factor. And unfortunately, it's not going anywhere. It doesn't seem like it's going down in the way that we would like it to. And one way to protect your money is by investing in precious metals, gold and silver. That's always been a great way to make sure that you keep your money and you keep it safe. When you go to bh-pm.com, use promo code Trump. That way, if you decide you want to invest in gold and silver, you'll save yourself a little bit of money. We live in a time that's very interesting. A lot of us out there feel like a lot of our rights are slipping away. And if you're like I am and you want to have the right to choose whether or not to have a vaccine, how to live your life freely, and you're looking for a great doctor, I've heard amazing things about Dr. Sherwood. He's somebody who you should really check out and check into, and it'll help support this program and keep us going. So go to sherwood.tv and use promo code Trump. Again, sherwood.tv and use promo code Trump. You can save yourself some money and help us keep our program going.